Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by PewSitter.com, your online Catholic newspaper for the third millennium, CatholicMediaCoalition.org, in line with the Church, online with the world.
And TheAmericanCatholic.com, politics and culture from a Catholic perspective.
Hello and welcome to today's edition of Catholic News Roundup. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. Amendment averting closure. The United States Senate is saving the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, or the USCIRF, from the brink of closure by consolidating its size and pulling back its budget in the process. Cybernet News Service reports the Senate quietly lifted the hold on reinstating the watchdog organization's funding, amended its status, and passed the legislation by voice vote. The amendment was proposed by Democratic Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois, who is suspected of holding back the Commission's approval for funding for the past several months for the sake of getting approval for the funding of a prison in his home state. The amendment reduces the number of commissioners in the organization from 9 to 5 and reduces its operating budget from more than $4 million a year to $3 million. Obama's sodomy pitch. The controversy over the sodomy bestiality ban continues in Washington as Obama pleads with both chambers not to prohibit these deviant acts in the Uniform Code of Military Justice. A conference committee of members from both the Senate and the House have come together to put the ban back into the Defense Authorization Act after it was taken out by the Senate when the bill was revised. The House Armed Services Committee told Cybernet News Service that though Obama had pitched the repeal of Article 125 from the Uniform Code of Military Justice related to sodomy, he could not convince the conference committee that such a change was needed. The Obama administration is not expected to give up on this particular issue, but it seems that for now, according to lawmakers in Washington, public outcry was enough to make them think twice. Not ideal adoption. An American homosexual activist will be allowed to adopt 2 Colombian boys in a hotly contested move that is being criticized by one of the country's bishops. Chandler Burr, museum curator and homosexual author, was initially blocked from adopting the boys after failing to disclose his homosexual tendencies when applying for the adoption, though now a Colombian judge is ordering the boys to be returned to Burr's custody, according to eltiempo.com. According to CatholicCulture.org, Colombian Bishop Juan Cordoba Villota calls the situation, quote, not ideal, clarifying homosexuality as a, quote, disorder of sexual identity, of gender identification, end quote, saying there can be, quote, no parent-child relationship. You get 2 boys at an age when they can be attractive to him, which may be a temptation, end quote. Burr, now curator at the Museum of Arts and Design in New York City, has written works comparing sexual orientation to right and left-handedness and thinks homosexuality is biologically determined and supports human nature. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a few seconds.
Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by NewOxfordReview.org, the voice of Catholic Orthodoxy, in print and on the web, and RenewAmerica.com, expanding the influence of America's grassroots in the cause of freedom.
Gingrich clears confusion. Gingrich is grabbing more attention from pro-lifers, reconciling himself with Personhood USA, and showing support for the belief that life for the unborn begins at conception. According to TheHill.com, the other leading contender for Republican nomination, Mitt Romney, has not signed the pledge and has an unconfirmed stance on the issue after saying abortion should be an issue states decide for themselves, while touting his support of birth control. Gingrich is recovering from a similar situation, possibly confusing voters, after saying publicly he believes life begins at implantation, then stating on his campaign website he believes that life begins at conception. The presidential candidate appears to be clarifying his stance on the issue after being rebuked by Personhood USA for his former comments about life at implantation before the caucuses in Iowa begin on January 3rd in the coming year. Impossible image. Scientists say there is no explanation for the image on the Shroud of Turin, and it is not the result of any process known to modern technology. Italy's National Agency for New Technologies, Energy, and Sustainable Economic Development has been trying for the past 5 years to, quote, identify the physical and chemical processes capable of generating a color similar to that of the image on the shroud, end quote. After performing the experiments to find the origin of the shroud's mysterious imprints, studies only indicate the image may have been created by an intense source of light, but no man-made light is intense enough. According to the Vatican Insider, the studies also very readily refute the idea that the shroud is a product of some sort of medieval forgery. And finally, get real this Christmas and all year long. It's just another reminder, with only a few more shopping days to Christmas, if you'd like to give the gift of a RealCatholicTV.com premium membership to a bishop, priest, seminarian, sister, or religious community, just click on the link just outside the screen to find out about our half-price program. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. Thanks for tuning in today. Be sure and tune in tomorrow for your daily dose of Catholic News Roundup right here on RealCatholicTV.com. And be sure to check out The Vortex today, where Michael talks about the church. Lean in faith and knowledge, but not mean enough to defend itself. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to tell all your friends about us. And as always, God bless you.